Welcome into Steelers Latest, your daily spot for all news and information related to your Pittsburgh Steelers. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy our content to stay up to date with everything latest to your Steelers. But let's get this thing moving. Big Ben on his football and podcast yesterday um, discussed how much he liked the pick of Will Howard in the sixth round and how it's a win-win for both parties. Will Howard, we saw the videos of him bagging the Steelers in the sixth round. Not the traditional bagging where your hands on the knees. Steelers, please. Where you're talking to them directly. No. He was just begging the TV screen, please, Steelers, select me. And guess what we did in the sixth round? Well, Big Ben says this is a win-win scenario because he was such a late round pick where there's not a lot of pressure on Will Howard coming into Pittsburgh. If he doesn't succeed, he's just a sixth round pick. If he succeeds, it's seen as overstepping, as seen as great because, when you can hit on someone in the sixth round, especially at quarterback, very rare, but does happen sometimes. That would just be phenomenal if Will Howard did work out. We'll have to see. But he mentioned Tom Brady's name. Like I said, doesn't happen too often, but Brady is one of those guys where he was actually drafted in the sixth round also, and then went on to become the GOAT of the NFL in most people's eyes. Uh Also, Brock Purdy, just a couple years back now, last pick of the draft, he's turned out pretty well with the 49ers. That seems to be a flourishing relationship there. So you never know. You never know. As Big Ben said, this is a win-win scenario with as little pressure as possible on a quarterback like Will Howard. Uh, I'll end it with a quote here from Ben. He said, I like what he's going to bring. I can't wait to see him in person. I'd love to get him on the show. That's going to be a great episode. I feel like Will Howard's not going to turn down a Big Ben invite onto the football and podcast. So can't wait till that comes out to watch that, to get to know Will Howard a little bit more, to get to know maybe our future quarterback a little bit more. But I also, once again, he was high up there on my quarterback rankings for later round guys who I'd be interested in. And the last quarterback we drafted from an Ohio college didn't turn out too bad for us now, did it? Two Super Bowls? It's Ben. It's Ben, obviously. But Will Howard coming into the draft drew comparisons to Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, when he was in the draft process, drew comparisons to Big Ben. So there's the comparison right there. Will Howard could be our next Big Ben. Not saying that off the rip right now, but it's always a possibility. But let's get this thing moving a little bit more as shades already being thrown. Jay Gruden, John's brother. It was pretty depressing for Jay. In the article I read, it described Jay Gruden as a former head coach who is brothers to a Super Bowl winning head coach. That's pretty brutal. But let's just move on to the actual story here. He said he disliked players Derek Harmon and Caleb Johnson. Our first two picks he didn't really like. He gave us an overall draft grade of a B. Let's talk about why he didn't like Harmon and Caleb Johnson. He says Harmon plays too high sometimes, and he doesn't mean off the reefer. He's talking about just he stands up a little too much. And by that I mean you want when you're in the trenches, you want to be the lower man. The lower man usually wins. Sometimes he's not the lowest man. He gets pushed back. But I just don't see what he's seeing, honestly. Harmon's seemed like a Steeler, seems his whole college career. He has the comparisons to Cam Hayward coming out of college. He also had 8.5 sacks and 18 tackles for losses in his full college career. Now, limited time as a starter in his full college career. I think it was only last year was his first time full time starting. So I'm not really seeing what he's seeing. I think he's going to be a dominant presence in the middle of our defensive front to for the foreseeable future. I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, he is going to be here for at least 4 years, but after that 4 years, I think he's going to be here and be a long-term Steeler. Then he said Caleb Johnson. not elite speed and not elite contact balance. He's a big body. Basically, is all Gruden said, that he has the size, but nothing else really is there for him, which is insane to me because in the Big Ten, which is primarily a defensive heavy conference where defenses run supreme in there, Johnson ran for 1,537 yards last year and 21 TDs. So, once again, not seeing what Jay Gruden's seeing at all. This could be the reason he's not an NFL coach anymore because he just doesn't see really talent where talent is. You put up those numbers in a defensive heavy conference. I know your offensive line's probably blocking for you well, Caleb Johnson, but you still got to be able to read the holes, hit the holes fast, and run over a couple people downfield. You got to make people miss downfield to average 6.8 yards a carry and 123 yards a game. Like, I'm just not on Jay Gruden's page here. I don't understand what he's seeing. Once again, could be the reason he's not a head coach. But let's go into a little bit prediction time. Nothing really too heavy we're predicting here, but what is our starting defense next year after some of the additions, some of the rookies we drafted? I think the only rookie that will be starting is he'll be starting at defensive end. I know he's a defensive tackle, but our ends usually play inside because our outside linebackers are rush linebackers. So left end going to be Derek Harmon, right end Cam Hayward. I think they're going to be a formidable front in the middle of the defensive line. They're going to be tough to run the ball on. I'm really excited to see it. Our rush linebackers, of course, on the left side, you got TJ Watt, the snap god, the man who I hope eventually doesn't tie the record but breaks it once again. He got robbed that year. But and on the right outside linebacker, the right rush end, Alex Highsmith's gonna be there still. You never know. Could get traded mid-season, and then you get Nick Herbig in there. So I'm pretty excited to see that. Middle linebackers are gonna be Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson. Another exciting duo I'm ready for. I think Patrick Queen's really gonna improve this year. I know he wasn't as flashy in the beginning of last year. He really picked it up at the end of last year. Still had over 100 tackles, but I think the flashy plays are gonna come this year for PQ. He's always in the right spot, it feels like. I think Patrick Queen's gonna have a breakout season. And Peyton Wilson, he had a phenomenal rookie season. I think that's only gonna continue into his sophomore year with us in the Steelers. And now the secondary. I got Joey Porter Jr. as our cornerback one. He's the cornerback of the future. Make him the guy that's following the other number one receiver around the field. Darius Slay at cornerback two. And in my nickel slash slot, I want to see Beanie Bishop there. I really liked Beanie Bishop a lot last year. He showed a lot of good signs that he's a pro, that he actually can get it done in the NFL level. He had 4 interceptions, well, a handful of deflected passes. I think Beanie Bishop, he was an undrafted guy last year who really made his mark on this team, and I think he deserves that nickel spot this year for the Steelers. And then on the far back end, the safeties, you know who it's gonna be. It's gonna be Minka Fitzpatrick lurking it all season long back there. Hopefully the interceptions numbers go up this year for Minka Fitzpatrick. The interceptions numbers have been down the past couple seasons because quarterbacks just don't want to throw his way anymore. And strong safety is going to be Deshaun Elliott. I love Deshaun Elliott. He's someone that can play inside the box and lay those big hits on receivers coming across the middle or on the sideline. I'm really excited to see Deshaun Elliott in his second year with the Steelers. But that is my starting defense. On paper, whew, on paper, I really am excited to see this defense once again next year. It's been the highlight of, I feel like, the past 5 seasons for us. It's been the defense that's really been carrying us. Um, but you never know. On paper's one thing, on the field, completely different. So I think it's top 5 potential, maybe best defense in the league potential, I do believe. But once again, it's just on paper. We need to see what it looks like on the field next year. But we're going to wrap this up with some player releases. as a couple players got released from the Steelers today. Uh, both on the defensive side of the ball, actually. Both positions we drafted in the draft. Made sense why we got rid of them. Defensive tackle, Montravius Adams, Yaya Black, and Derek Harmon, both defensive tackles. That meant Montravius had to go. He had to go. We need room for the rookies. And then outside linebacker Thomas Rush didn't really get any playing time at all last year. We drafted Jack Sawyer as an outside linebacker. So once again, you gotta go. We need the bench space for the rookies. Get these rookies some reps in preseason and maybe even in the regular season. These later round guys can see the field sometimes. But that is it from this episode of Steelers Latest. I've been your host, Cole Dennis, and I will see you tomorrow.